The industry understood that adoption, in particular financial and institutional adoption, is what is going to change this industry. And this is exactly what GenTwo does. It opens up the door of an extremely well-developed institutional product to the crypto world. But attaching a certificate like the one created by GenTwo really puts your reach on steroids, because you can now target a variety of players that might not embrace crypto investments.
This is the Assetizer Podcast.
Hello, everybody, and welcome. My name is Tom Lyons. This is the Assetizer Podcast, and today I'm with Marco Morazzoni, who is the founder of Semoto, which is a company which is bridging the gap between Web 2 and Web 3 in all sorts of different areas, and we're going to be talking a lot about that today, and what that means for both sides of the equation, the 2 and the 3 side. And welcome. Thanks for coming.
Thanks a lot for having me. Pleasure.
Yeah, the pleasure's all ours, I can assure you. So before we get into Semoto, maybe you can give us a bit of your background and how you got to this spot.
Absolutely. And again, thanks GenTwo for the opportunity. So I'm Marco Morazzoni, CEO and founder of Semoto. My history, quite traditional TradeFi type of background, to be honest. 17 years in brokerage, mainly stock and derivatives. I started with probably one of the largest broker-dealer in the world, MF Global. Started in New York, Singapore, then London, moved across multiple desks. I was the head of multi-product desk for an Asian broker. And then around 2017, I started executing in digital assets and fell into the rabbit hole of blockchain.
Okay. So then you founded Semoto. So what does Semoto do?
The best way to describe Semoto, we are by now the largest business network, B2B network in Web3. So what it means is that we created this sort of marketplace that incubate a variety of Web3 focused solution. So any clients, both in TradeFi, Web2 in general, or the crypto native guys, can really use Semoto to identify all the right solution in a faster way, speed up the decision process, and save an average of probably a month and a half in negotiation with the right counterpart.
Okay. So could you maybe tell us on the Web 2 and the Web 3 side who the typical users or participants in this marketplace would be?
Absolutely. So on the Web3 front, so the crypto native, the blockchain native guys, we receive an inflow of a variety of projects from DeepIn to RWA, people that are creating specifically on blockchain. And the best example, the one that I always like to give, is a company launching a token. Throughout the journey of launching a token, like pieces of puzzle, there are a variety of companies that you will need to use. You're going to need to incorporate your business in a place like BVI, Panama, Cayman, whatever. Then you're going to need a lawyer to tell you if you're launching a security or a utility. Then writing the tokenomics, marketing, and a lot of these different things. So via Semoto, you can really find who are the top experts that can help you in all of these, compare them using peer-to-peer review. When it comes to Web 2, and TradeFi is a good example, we serve a variety of partners from trustee, family offices, brokers, people that want to enter the space, but they're not too sure how to do it, because the accountant that you're currently using is not going to be prepared to self-declaring your crypto taxation, right? So this is when Semoto comes into place. We give you this set of tools that you can really deploy in order to embrace this new piece of technology.
So is it something where I get a log on and I go in and I look, or how does the what's the user experience?
Correct. The user experience is a traditional marketplace. So we built a search engine that runs on this large B2B database of different entities. Again, I reinforce the B2B point because what we don't do is individuals. We're not a Fiverr We don't do, or an Upwork, we don't do freelancers. It's only high skilled and qualified companies. So you use the search engine to identify the player that you want to talk to. You identify 2 or 3. Then when the peer-to-peer review kicks in, so you can really understand if company A is better than company B for your needs. And finally, we're building in the full negotiation and payment. So giving both sides a variety of solution to secure and pay.
Do you like escrow?
So that's exactly what we are working on. We're working on 3 angles that we're confident to deploy by before the end of the year. We're working in 3 directions. We're going to integrate via multiple parties. We are going to integrate an escrow, because still one of the biggest problem in Web3 is still trust on the different players.
Sure,
so escrow will secure it. Crypto to fiat payment, because a lot of the provider that we serve, that we have on the ecosystem, up to this day, they cannot get paid in crypto. So we want to...
Still, it's amazing.
Correct, correct. Even if
that could be changing, though.
It's speeding up for sure.
Yeah.
But this is what we're trying to bring. And finally, we already have multiple lines for financing. So if you need to pay the setup of a fund to trade crypto in the Cayman, and it's going to cost you 80K, we have a variety of solutions for you to not liquidate your crypto, but use our counterparties, financing, and pay your bills.
Okay, nice. Okay. I'm also curious. So how do you guys make money?
So we monetize in a variety of ways. The providers that are on the ecosystem, they pay a membership to be part of the ecosystem. Is not one of those associations that just charge a membership to throw a party once every third year. We charge a membership for specific reason. It costs us money to vet every single provider that join our ecosystem, and then we keep that infrastructure going where you can really use us instead of a Clutch, instead of a Trustpilot, to collect reviews. If you're building in Web3, you're not going to check on Trustpilot your review. You want something specific for this industry, and this is who we are.
Okay, it's actually fascinating.
And also, more importantly, we charge, we take a percentage of the business that we channel throughout the ecosystem.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. And is there also human matching or connecting in the background, or is it all just a platform?
So that is a great question, and thanks for that, because obviously, as a lot of other companies out there, we are working with artificial intelligence to speed up the matching. But I'm strongly against a direct matching. I'm always in favor of giving the client the capability of choosing between at least 3.
Okay.
Because you want to make an informative decision. You want to have that human touch and decide if provider A is better than provider B. Finally, and this is probably the majority of our business, we run a project manager as a service, and this is quite common for the financial companies. So if somebody wants to enter in the space, just going on the marketplace and selecting is not good enough. So this is when Semoto Conuslting kicks in. So you give us the procurement, and we run and build all the roadmap of what getting into Web3 means.
Oh, okay, that's nice. So if I'm a Web2 company, I have no idea, I've never done a Web3 project, and you're there to sort of say, by the way, you need to do this, and then this, and then this.
Let's say that you want to add custody for your family office, what it means. MiCA,
insurance for
regulation, insurance, custody solution, etc., etc.
Okay, cool. How many people?
The moment the ecosystem is built with more than 500 companies and north than 2,000 users.
Wow, and it's global, I'm assuming.
So it's not global yet, I would say. We left US for obvious reason up to a few months before. It was not the center of our attention, even if it's an industry that obviously we are starting to cover. But our focus is UK, Switzerland, the whole of Europe, Dubai, and the offshore jurisdictions. So we really follow where the project goes.
That's where a lot's happening. Okay, great. So obviously one of the things you wanted to talk about today was you're working with GenTwo. And maybe you can tell us a bit about how that came about and sort of where you see where the cooperations lie.
So GenTwo is probably one of our core partners. one of the most institutional one as well, and extremely important for us as well. Let me explain you why the Web3 industry is finally at the point of embracing maturity. So we're not talking about a bunch of kids or degen launching meme tokens from their bedroom. The industry understood that adoption, in particular financial and institutional adoption, is what is going to change this industry. So that means more serious solution for a variety of problems. And those solutions sometimes don't need to be reinvented. They just to be TradeFi solution available for the crypto world. And this is exactly what GenTwo does. It opens up the door of an extremely well-developed institutional product to the crypto world.
Okay, and what would be, just get to follow that a bit longer or a bit more deeply, what would be a typical use case?
So we have seen a variety already that we work together with GenTwo. The most common one, they tend to be people that want to have a certificate as an alternative way to raise funds. We have launched a variety of crypto fund in Cayman, in BVI, in Panama, in other jurisdictions. In order to get more credibility, this is when a certificate kicks in, because it allows you to raise across Europe and it brings that stamp of credibility to your project. RWA are another great example. So we are talking
real world
about
assets.
Correct, exactly. So we're talking about the digitalization and the tokenization of everything at the moment, and it's absolutely true. I mean, it's a booming, it's a growing market. The big players are really embracing it as a solution, but attaching a certificate like the one created by GenTwo really puts your reach on steroids, because you can now target a variety of players that might not embrace crypto investments.
Okay. Yeah, so maybe so what that makes me think about it, and you mentioned this before when we were talking before, but the TradFi people, the Web2 people, the TradFi people, they're going to understand about these certificates, but the Web3 folks probably not, right? So how do you explain to them, or what's the case that you make when somebody comes in and you can say, hey, look, I know you're crypto native, okay, fine, and everything can be raised, everything's DeFi and raised on chain, but there's this other opportunity here with probably more liquidity and more.
That's exactly it. Actually, that's what resonates better. So the traditional investor is too scared of investing in crypto. We haven't reached full adoption by the masses because of scams in extremely high volatility in the sector. So it's hard to convince the general James Smith to put money into a crypto fund. But on the other hand, there is a strong appetite when you see the type of returns that you can achieve. And there are those funds, delta neutral or with great solutions that are performing really well-established and sustainable type of returns. The problem for these guys is that trading crypto, being fully crypto native, they struggle to raise. They struggle to talk to an audience, particularly with banks, the family offices that simply don't speak the same language and is still far away from their reality. The best example is trying to raise for a crypto fund, going to convincing an investor. Even if you get yes as an answer, it doesn't mean automatically that you're going to get the money. The usual barrier is then for the investor itself to go to his bank saying, perfect, I found a great product, I want to buy into that. Banks don't let you do it. This is when a certificate comes into place, because it's a tracker of a fund, for example, allows a bank to be more open, and they're familiar with the product. They understand how they're built. They understand the regulation behind. So they are absolutely fine buying products like that.
Okay. And for those who aren't familiar, so that's Gen2's part of the equation. So
Exactly.
we structure the certificate, usually an AMC or a tracker, I guess, depending on what it is. And then that ends up in a bankable security that that any bank will understand, and then you can put into your custody account. Well, hopefully, and put into your custody account.
But not only that, I mean, GenTwo has been running for a long time, is a well-established company. So we bring, again, that level of credibility from TradeFi into the digital world, because you've been one of the first one to really bridge the two spaces.
Yeah, that's right. Okay, that's fantastic. Maybe we can broaden the conversation a bit, because I mean I was in before I went back out, but I was in crypto from 2016 to 2022 when I joined up with Gen2, and that being in Gen2 doesn't mean leaving crypto. It's sort of back to the old world. But you've got your finger on the pulse. I mean, with 500 companies and a lot going on. I'm just really curious in the crypto world, but I'm assuming also just in blockchain projects and regular stuff. Like, what are you seeing? What's going on? What's changing, especially now with the change of heart in the U.S.?
So it's an interesting time. I mean, if you were going to ask me this question probably only a few weeks ago, to be honest, the answer would have been different. It keeps changing. It is the beauty of this industry, so fast-paced, that is fascinating. What is happening in the US, it's interesting and scary at the same time. Interesting because obviously we see the most powerful nation in the world embracing the technology and embracing cryptos. Scary though, because we lost the ship over here in Europe. We had the opportunity with the previous administration to really bring it over here, make Europe, make UK, Switzerland, the true crypto hub. We kind of lost the boat a little bit, so that is sad in a way.
Why is that?
If you look at the big names, I mean, the big names up to a year ago, they were all shopping around Europe to make it the headquarters center of what they were doing. Now they're already back in the States.
Yeah.
Now that doesn't mean that they are still expanding. I mean, we look at OKX recently getting a license in Malta. Kraken is extremely active over here. So it's not like they're leaving Europe or UK, but it's not the center, and that is a bit sad. When it comes to, in general, the whole ecosystem, it's an odd time to be alive. All the news are positive, and it seems to be supportive of the ecosystem, but we have seen one of the biggest crash in the last 10 days ever. The liquidation has been brutal. A lot of money have been lost. But saying that, and this is what I personally find frustrating, we have to get to the point where we separate the price of Bitcoin to the use of this technology.
Thank you. Yes.
Because if we are building a wallet, if we are building a bridge, if we are building an RWA token, I cannot be scared of what the price, what the volatility is going to do to my investor, to my market. It will take a little bit longer to get to that stage, but technology is not going to disappear. It's here to stay. We are seeing more and more use cases. The PIN is extremely fascinating. RWA that we touched on, I absolutely love. There are projects now tokenizing really anything from commodities like gold and diamonds to properties, land, rights, music rights, book rights, and it's just beautiful. It's really revolutionizing this world, but we are early in the journey. And this is why we need established and solid companies like GenTwo to show to the rest of the world that the two worlds can bridge and work together.
Okay. And what are you seeing also on what I like to call the non-crypto stuff, infrastructure, or, I mean, you mentioned tokenization as one use case, but, you know, we've talked about blockchain in healthcare and blockchain in supply chain, and I mean, this is stuff that's been around for a while. Are you seeing movement there?
What is slowing down, it's regulation, or still lack of clarity on regulation. Because we have seen some really interesting cases on healthcare, on the legal system as well,
Okay.
where AI and blockchain are colliding or finally mixing together, maybe better expression. But when it's not clear still what you can, what you cannot do, it's scary for a founder to get creative. Now, the beauty is that now, even if a lot of people might disagree with me, with MiCA coming into Europe and more clear guidelines, is going to be an easier setup for a lot of founders.
So you mentioned the consulting side of your business, which I'm assuming is a bit more hands-on, a bit more high touch, and maybe you can give us an example of the kind of use cases you're seeing there, and maybe how we work together.
Absolutely, and actually on the consulting business is where the partnership with GenTwo really comes into place, because those tend to be more complex cases. So people that want to launch more sophisticated solution. The standard example is a crypto fund, because so many things come into places. The roadmap of having that solution involves from the regulatory framework to the certificate in order to raise, to custody and trading lines. So this is when Semoto comes in, and we always bring the expert from every industry. This is why we work so well with GenTwo, because we face the clients together, going to a meeting together, so we can really explain what are the options for them, and we provide a variety of different solutions for the different scenario that they expect to face, and we can solve from A, being creating the company, to Z, having a trade line open.
Hey Marco, thanks a lot for coming. It was a pleasure.
Thanks a lot. Absolute pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Bye-bye.